Welcome back to my pleasure tip series at Pleasure with Patricia. After my recent pleasure tip on how to create a pleasure menu, I got asked if I do have a few more tips. So I decided to create a little series around it. And today's episode or pleasure tip is create a pleasure bucket list. Similar to creating your pleasure menu, where you take a piece of paper and a pen and write down all the things that bring you pleasure and categorize them. So, highly suggest to review that episode. You can now create a pleasure bucket list, writing down, noting all the things that you are curious about, that you fantasize about, that you desire. And they don't necessarily have to be ones that need to come true. That pleasure bucket list is yours for you to keep. You do not have to show it to anyone. What I love most about a pleasure bucket list is that it actually helps us to lean into our desires, to reclaim our desires, to explore, which is a pathway to pleasure. If you've read my best-selling book, The Pleasure-Lit Way, you will know that the pathway for is pleasure, play, and exploration. And that is part of it. And if you are in a state where I don't even know what I want, I don't even know what I desire, just review moments of movies, moments of erotic books, smart books, moments of conversations, of podcast episodes, of reels, videos, of all sorts, where you had that little bit of, that sounds interesting. I wonder. That could be something for you to explore. So you can write down all the things from, like, as I said, being just curious about, have heard about, or eventually to knowing, ooh, this is really something that I would like to discover. This is really something I would like to explore. You can note it all down, either on a piece of paper or on a document on your computer or in your phone. I've got mine on my phone and I've got it for years. Interestingly, it's very dynamic. So it's not just like you create that list and then it's done. You change over time, and so does your list change. You might have got an experience from your list. You're like, ooh, this is from my list. So I can tick that off, cross it off, and you come across something else. Someone else speaks about a certain pleasure toy or a certain pleasure practice or tantra or kundalini, or you watch a movie and someone's doing something pleasure related and you're like, ooh, that sounds interesting. I wonder how that feels. And you add that on. You maybe have got foot worship on there. And a little bit down the track, you realized, I actually don't really like my feet to be touched. So foot worship is actually not something that I'm keen on. Then you can cross it off, take it off. So that's what I mean by a dynamic list. You can add and you can edit it at any time. You can take things off that no longer interest you. You can add things that now start to interest you. You can cross things off. And with my list, I've realized I will never get to that point where I've crossed everything off, because every time I believe I've seen it all, I have explored it all, something else pops up and a new direction, a new pleasure opens up to, like, ooh, Patricia. And I'm like, ooh, we're going to add you on there. I do also have a couple of things on there that I would eventually like to explore, but it's not something where I would say it needs to happen. It's rather on there that when the right opportunity opens up, I would love to explore it. But if it isn't, that is okay too. Maybe Catwoman in the movie, got you really excited and you might like to try something similar. Maybe there's a certain scene in the book that you've read where you just felt all the tingles and you're like, I could imagine this feeling very delicious. Or maybe you had a dream and you woke up soaking wet where you're just like, I imagine this would come true. Add that on your bucket list. Basically, a pleasure bucket list is a pleasure desire list to give yourself the opportunity of experiencing and exploring and expanding your capacity for pleasure, to experience pleasure lit from within. And when you're ready to explore your pleasure, this is your invitation to join us within the Pleasure Lit community. You can also explore my pleasure online courses, programs, practices, and more at pleasurelit.com. Now, I would love to hear from you if you feel called to share what is one thing on your pleasure bucket list. When you've liked this episode, feel free to follow and subscribe, and also share it along so we can spread more pleasure into this world. You can also access my free pleasure map and workshop at pleasurelit.com/links. Sending you lots of love and pleasure. Mwah!